Okay, so I guess we can start. Uh, am I audible, guys? You can type it in the chat box and confirm it. Okay, fine. And you guys are able to see the slides also? Okay. Thanks, Priyanka. So, let's start. So, good evening, all. Welcome to the week 3 of the problem solving discussions for the course NOC 22 CE 68 Ground Improvement. This course is currently being tutored by Professor Dilip Kumar Bedia, who is currently acting as a head and professor in Department of Civil Engineering from IIT Kharagpur. Myself, Rituraj Singh Sujawat. I am Prime Minister's Research Fellow in the Department of Earthquake Engineering Department from IIT Roorkee. So those who have joined first time in this session, let's give a brief overview what we used to do in this 1 hour session. Basically, we are having an interactive session with the learners of the ground improvement course. We used to discuss some important concepts which are basically required to solve the assignment problems, the assignments and the quizzes which you are getting on that weekly basis. So to solve those problems, we used to solve some sample problems, so that when you are going to solve those problems, it will, like, you get a good idea like how to approach the questions. Also, we'll be solving some sample questions also. If you guys are having any doubts regarding the course, so we can even discuss that here, and any other query like whether it's technical or non-technical, we can discuss those things in this 1 hour session. So in this week, one second, guys. In this week, we have covered the deep dynamic compaction technique. So in previous weeks, we have seen how to improve the soil which is available at the shallow depth. So these are the methods which we have discussed, conventional vibratory compaction or rapid impact compaction, or with the help of the rollers, how you can improve the your soil which is available at the shallow depth. But what if we want the soil which is available at the larger depth? We want more resistance from those soil, or if the structure which we are building, to transfer the load from the superstructures if that load is beyond the permissible limit, so that it can't bear at the shallow depth soil, and if you and you want to transfer the load to the higher depth. So to improve the soil at that larger depth, how to improve the soil? So we are basically using the deep dynamic compaction technique. So the last week 3 was basically covering the concepts required to solve the problems related to the deep dynamic compaction only, or like how it is used to the ground, or the real life practices, like, and how the design practices available to improve the soil with the help of the deep dynamic compaction. So just to give an outlook, like how the deep dynamic compaction method is being carried out at the field, like here is one video. So this you can see, like this is a tamper which is being dropped from a very larger height. So basically the potential energy of that tamper is being used to provide energy to the soil particles at the larger depth, so to get it densified. And this is the phase 1, like for the deep dynamic compaction technique, so where we are improving the soil to some certain marked locations. One second. yeah, that was a informative video, like which can give a brief overview like how the deep dynamic compaction is being carried out at the sites. So you guys were able to see the video, right? Was there any technical glitch? I can play it again. Just type yes, like if you were able to see the video like which I had played. Okay, thank you, Bhaskar. So yeah, I guess like with this much information, we can proceed with our uh, Q and A Q&A round, like where we'll be solving some of the questions related to the deep dynamic compaction technique. So here is the first question. So deep dynamic compaction is generally not recommended for like which of the option available, like A, loose and partially saturated fields, B, seeds with plasticity index less than 8, or whether it can be used for the clay soil with high degree of saturation, or none of the above. You can type your answer in the chat box. Yeah, so it is pretty straightforward. So the answer is like option C, clay soil with high degree of saturation. Because clay soil, since like it's having the low permeability and with the higher moisture content available, we can't use the deep dynamic compaction in that, because basically it will displace the soil at very larger volume, or we can say a significant amount in the deformation will be observed while we use this deep dynamic compaction technique. And we can even observe the heave like around the tamper which we have done to the crater, like the location where we have dropped the tamper, around that tamper position we can see, like if we will be using this technique in the clay soil, there will be heave of the soil to the nearby region. So yeah, that was clear. Coming to the next question, influence factor for design of deep dynamic compaction are. So which of the factors basically decide what should be the design of deep dynamic compaction? So among these four options, like A, depth and area of improvement, tamper geometry and weight, how much environmental impact it causing, or like all of the above. So again, it was a straight question, like since deep dynamic compaction which we are using at the site, it basically depends on the depth of the soil area which we want to improve, and also the total marked area which we want to improve, how much or like what type of the tamper should be used to improve that soil, how much should be the weight of the tamper, and if we are using this deep dynamic compaction technique, or the weight of the tamper which we are using, whether it's causing some impact to the nearby environment or not, or like whether there's some build area available, or due to that deep dynamic compaction technique maybe it's causing some uh, non-required impact to those build area. So all those parameters which we need to see before deciding like what type of or which equipments which we should associate with the deep dynamic compaction before using that on the site. So coming to the next question, the peak particle velocity uh, is defined as. So the formula for the peak particle velocity is given from which of those four options? Again guys, if you are having any doubt at any point of presentation, you can stop me right there by simply typing in the chat box, or you can switch on your you can unmute your mic and ask the doubts. Any answer guys? Peak particle velocity, what is the formula for that? Yes Priyanka, though expression is correct, but yeah, the power of the bracket is different, like the empirical formula. Yes Tushar, it's option B. So peak particle velocity is given by the formula which is given at, from option B. So it basically depend upon these three factors: the weight of temper, the height of dropping, and it's basically the depth of improvement we want to do. Sorry, XDP is basically the distance from the drop point. So the point where which you are using the deep dynamic compaction technique, and the area under the consideration from where we are considering the impact, or like we can see area under consideration to that area, how much it's impacting from deep dynamic compaction.
Sir, is it necessary that the weight of temper in this equation is always we have to take in ton?
Uh, can you repeat your question, Tushar?
In this formula, it is compulsory to take weight in ton.
Yeah, actually this is the empirical formula, so this weight should be taken in turn only. So according to that only, like this parameters has been decided.
Okay, okay.
71. So any doubt with the peak particle velocity? So basically peak particle velocity is the velocity associated with the vibration of the ground. So whenever we are dropping a weight from a certain height, so that drop will basically create the displacement of the particles. So due to those displacement, there will be vibration in the particles, and those particles or molecules will vibrate with certain amplitude. So that amplitude can be velocity, acceleration, or the displacement, but the amplitude corresponding to the velocity, we are saying it as a peak particle velocity, and that too the maximum amplitude will correspond to the peak particle velocity. So like I'll show you some right now. So whenever we will drop a temper from a certain height to the ground, there will be vibration of the particles, and that particles will vibrate with, like on the y-axis you can take velocity, and this is with respect to time. So with time, this particles will vibrate. So you know the maximum amplitude of the velocity will correspond to the peak particle velocity. Any problem with the peak particle velocity? Can we proceed to the next question? Okay. So coming to the fourth question, again it's a empirical relation based question. So you need to give the depth of the crater, uh, like how we can estimate from which of the relation available. Okay. Yeah, so it's just an empirical relation based question. So the answer is A, 0.028 and D power 0.5. So it basically depending upon the number of drops and also the weight of the temper and the height of the drop. So that was all on the empirical or the direct questions. So coming to the next set of questions, so like the whole set of question from question number 5 to 10, like we'll be discussing about this basic side problem only, and we are going to design some of the parameters related to the deep dynamic compaction. So starting with the question, like if we are having a construction site which is a lane fill area whose thin top layer is a fine grained soil underlain by a thick layer of clay silt with varying thickness between 5 to 8.2 meter, and if the field has moderate to high degree of saturation, SPTN values at different locations are ranging from 6 to 18, like average of them is 9. The required SPTN value required after compaction is 20, so that after the compaction the requirement from SPTN should be corresponding to 20. If dynamic compaction is used as a ground improvement technique, we need to provide a preliminary design, and to minimize the generation of the excess pore water pressure, like we are giving the multiple pass construction, and also the tamper weight given is 18.2 ton, and the diameter and the height of the tamper is 1.5 meter, and depth of improvement, like the soil which we want to improve is up to the depth of 8.2 meter, and the NC, like the coefficient corresponding to the type of the soil, is basically given by 0.35. So like it's just a set of design parameters which are based on the formulas which like you guys would have seen in the lectures. So according with the help of those empirical relations, you need to give you need to answer the set of questions from 5 to 10. So the first question is, like if all these parameters are given, like how much required energy should be there, like per blow in ton meter. So these questions are like just based on the empirical relations only, so you just need to put the values in them and like need to calculate.
Option C.
Option C. Okay. Anyone else is having some other answers other than option C? So Tushar, you may want to tell like how did you solve that, or like just a brief overview.
We have formula di is equal to nc and
Okay.
square root of wt into hd. So this wt into hd is number required energy per blow. So it is simply di by nc square.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Tushar. So that is the approach. Thanks for that. So the answer is C. Yeah, it's 550. So like just to solve that. So we know like depth of improvement is basically given by ANSI WT SD. So where ANSI is the parameter depending upon the soil. So like since basically we need to evaluate this parameter from the table given, but since it's directly given in the question ANSI equals to 0.35, so we can use that. So the energy is required per blow is basically given by WTSD. So if we see from this relation, equation 1, so WTSD can be calculated by di upon NC square, and if we will put the values in that, so we know like di is given by 8.2, as C is given as 0.35. So yeah, so you will get the corresponding answer as 55 ton meter. So any doubt in this? Okay, then moving to our next question. The drop height, like how much should be the drop height for these given parameters? So four options are given. Like, you need to calculate like from which height we should drop, so to get the required SPTN as 20. So this SPTN 20 is not related with the formula, but for this certain ground condition, how much should be the drop height? Or like if the depth of improvement is 8.2 meter, so from which height we should drop our temper if the temper weight is 18.2 ton. You can type your answers in the chat box. No problem.
Option A.
Okay, Tushar. Let's wait for others also to solve. Any problem with the previous question? It was direct formula based question. So any problem with that? So yeah, the I guess yeah, the answer is A, 30.2. So again, Tushar, if you want to.
Sir, it is simply energy per blow divided by weight of temper. So previous question answer
Yeah.
divided by weight of temper.
Yeah. So like we were having our energy as WTHD, like it's given as 30 point. Sorry, the energy which we have calculated earlier, like required energy per blow was 550 ton meter. So with the help of that, like we can calculate how much drop height is required. So we know from WTHD is 55 ton meter. So if you want to calculate the height of drop, so you just need to divide this expression by weight of ton, like weight of temper. So this corresponding value we know it's 55 ton meter. Temper weight is given. Temper weight of 18.2 ton. Sorry, we need to divide with the drop height. I'm extremely sorry, guys. So dividing it by 1.5. How much is the drop height?
Drop height is asked to determine, sir. So it is, we need to divide it by weight of temper. 550 divided by 18.2.
Yeah. So this should be a weight of temper given by 18.2. So the answer should be then 30.2. So is there any problem with the decimal? Like, I guess.
WT into HD is 550. It is not 55.
Yeah, sorry. So 550 by 18.2, I took the wrong value. So yeah, that is 27.5. Sorry guys with the calculation. So yeah, coming to the next question. Like the average applied energy for the landfill is 860 kilojoule per meter cube. Like how much is the required total applied energy in megajoule per meter square? So means how much total energy we should provide from the blow to improve the depth of 8.2 meter.
मैं वो ना रैकेट शिफ्ट कर दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है?
हाँ. बार बार बीच में उनको डिस्टर्ब करना पड़ता है।
Again, option A.
Option A. Guys, any problem with the previous question which we have solved? So yeah, answer is option A. So the total energy given is the applied total energy and it is asked like how much required energy should be there for depth of improvement corresponding to 8.2 meter. So like we just need to multiply the total applied energy with the 8.2, 860 into 8.2, and if you want to calculate into the megajoule, like so that is 7.02 megajoule, right Tushar? 7.05.
Yes. Yes.
Any doubt with this question? Seventh one, Priyanka, Bhaskar, I guess it's clear. Like okay, so moving to our next question. Like since we have calculated the total applied energy, so now we have want to calculate like how much is the total required applied energy for high energy compaction. So we from the lectures you guys would have seen like the total improvement is basically consisting of the high energy compaction plus the ionic phase. So the high energy compaction is basically the primary requirement to improve the soil at a depth at the required depth, and since we are dropping the temper from certain height to the soil, that temper is also creating some like we can say a hole into the ground. So that hole basically we call it as a crater. So after like the high energy compaction is done to improve those soil, like we need to fill those crater also, and then we need to do the ironing phase. So ironing phase is basically to fill those crater again and to compact those craters. So there will be required energy corresponding to that also. So that is the ironing phase energy. So like if we want to calculate the required total energy for the high energy compaction, how much it should be. So it's given like the applied energy is 300 kilojoule per meter cube, and the crater depth is given. So it's similar to that previous question which we had done, like I guess seventh one. Tushar, anything?
Option C.
Okay, so yeah, it's similar to that question. Anyone else is having some doubt in that? So yeah, if we'll solve this, answer is 6.6. So total energy required is basically energy for the high energy compaction plus energy for the ionic phase. So like we need to calculate the energy required for higher energy compaction. So since the crater depth is given, so we know like how much energy we should be it should be applied for the ironing phase. So energy for ironing phase is basically depth of improvement corresponding to ironing phase to the applied energy of ironing phase. So applied energy of ironing phase is 300 kilojoule per meter cube. Depth of improvement is 1.5. So from here we get like it's 450 kilojoule per meter cube, or iron phase is meter square. So now from our previous question we know that the total required energy was 7.05, and we need to calculate the applied energy for higher energy compaction plus 0.45 megajoule per meter cube. So applied energy corresponding to higher energy compaction is 7.05 minus 0.45, that will be nearly equals to 6.6 megajoule per meter. Any problem with this question? It's basically like the total energy is the energy required first for the ironing phase, then we will do the higher energy compaction. We have already calculated the required total energy in our previous question. Since the depth of crater was given and the applied energy for the ironing phase was given, so with the help of that we can calculate the energy required for the ironing phase, and with the help of these two parameters, like we can further calculate how much energy we can use for the higher energy compaction. So it's basically 6.6 megajoule per meter cube. Any query? We can move forward. Okay. Coming to the ninth question. Like assume two passes to allow for pore water pressure dissipation during high energy application. So when we are doing the high energy compaction, like we are basically giving the two passes per location. So how much should be the total required energy? So I guess it's very simple answer. So like we have already calculated the required and total required energy for particular location in the higher energy compaction. So if we are giving the two number of blows at particular location, so per blow how much energy is required? Tushar, like we can have answer in the chat box. So like if someone want to ask the doubt or like, sorry, but like I'll give you the chance after a few time. Like let's allow everyone to solve. Like if you are having any doubt, then you can unmute and answer, ask, no problem with that. Okay. Yeah, so that is a simple question. It's 3.3. So we know like total energy for higher energy compaction was 6.6 megajoule per meter cube. Since number of passes is equal to 2, so per pass energy will be 6.6 divided by 2, so that is 3.3 megajoule per meter. Any query in this? Okay, moving to our last question. Like if the drop spacing, like if the spacing between the drops of the crater is 2 times the temper diameter, then the number of drop, like at each point how much should be the number of drops should be there? So 4 options are there. Again, if you know the formula, you can answer this question. Any answer, guys?
Option C.
Which one?
C.
C.
5.4.
Okay. Anyone else is having some other answer other than Tushar? Like it's on just a formula base. If you know the formula, you can answer this. So yeah, I guess we can solve this. Or if someone else is solving, like we can have 2 more minutes on this. Okay, let's have 1 more minute and then we'll solve. Am I audible? I guess I lost my connection in between.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so okay, then we can solve the question. The correct answer is C. Yeah, it's 5.4. So yeah, Tushar. So what is the formula?
We have high energy pass per high energy per pass multiplied by the effective area divided by energy per blow that we have already calculated 550.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the formula ND WT, height of drop, and this is the AE. So here ND is the number of drops, uh, WT is the weight of temper, HD is the height of drop, A is the equivalent area, which will give you the total applied energy to the higher energy compression. Is it right, Tushar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the equivalent area for the, since the pattern is given?
It is 3 meter by 3 meter.
Yeah, so since it's given like it's the square pattern, so for the square pattern we are having the A is equals to S square, where S is the spacing between the craters. So it's already given ki the spacing is 2 times the temper diameter, and temper diameter is given as 1.5 meter in the question. Like you can see the temper diameter and the height of the temper both are given as 1.5 meter. So A is equals to 1.5. ठीक है, we'll directly put the value. So we need to calculate the number of drop at each specific point. So we need to calculate ND, which is number of drop. A is given into A equivalent area, W2 into SD is given. So applied energy, higher energy compaction energy, we know it's 3.3 megajoule, so we'll convert it into 1000 kilojoule. A is given as 1.5 meter per square. WT is already given, it's 550 ton meter. since here it's kilojoule and it's here ton, so we need to convert into the kilonewton. So ton to the kilonewton we can just multiply with the 10, and I guess this is 5.4, right? Let me calculate it. Applied energy. How much was the applied energy for the high energy compression? Okay, it's 300 kilojoule per minute. Sorry. I took it as a 300. Guys, I need to check with this AE. Is it the applied energy, total applied energy, right? Tushar, this A is higher energy, compaction energy, applied energy.
Yes, sir. It is high impact energy per pass. So 3.3 it is okay.
Okay. So this calculation, is it giving 5.4?
Yes, sir. It will give 5.4.
Okay, it's 2 times the diameter. So that is basically 3 square. Yeah. Yeah. So sorry guys, in the question it's giving like the dropping spacing is 2 times the tamper diameter. So I am directly considered as 1.5, like it should be 3 square. So yeah, so this will basically give you the 5.4 number of drops. Any query with this, guys? So I guess we are over with our today's session. Any problem with any question or any concept with the deep dynamic compaction? Fine, then I guess we can close our session today. Thank you for attending this. We'll be meeting on next Tuesday at 6 p.m.